Hello, everybody! And how are we all doing this evening? Before we get started, I have to ask a quick question. What is the audio like coming from me? If I'm quiet, are you hearing an awful sound? If you are, please let me know. I don't want to cause anyone to have issues. It's just today in the UK, it's decided that since a South African has now moved to the UK, and particularly me, that they have decided to change their weather patterns. So it was 30 degrees here in the UK today. And yes, all their houses are designed to face the sun. Because originally they didn't used to get any, they used to get rain. But now that I'm here, it's been sun. So the little room heats up quite quickly. So I've got to turn it off. But if you can't hear it, then that's fine. It's staying on. All right, enough of that. Before we get started, before I forget, next week there is no From the Shadows Born. I will be doing something else. Brian, have you ever role-played with a puppet before? As in, like a Sesame Street puppet?
No, I used to watch my dad do it when I was a kid, but I never did it myself.
Yeah. I have done kids shows for my sins in the past where we had puppets, but I have never actually role-played with a actual puppet. It's more like a Jim Henson puppet than a sock puppet. It's an experience. It's an experience. I met the performer the other day. He's quite a well-known puppeteer, but he'll be playing with me. I'm playing. I'm not GMing. That's going to be an experience of note. I have no idea what it's going to be like. Anyway, so just as an aside, that's what I'm doing next week, Wednesday. So. I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway. All right, Brian, are you ready to jump into this?
Let's do it.
There we go. All right. Well, we slink ourselves all the way back down into the tavern, the Drake's Lake, where our intrepid hero and his travelling companions found themselves lodgings for the night. You are in the small village of Nexi. Is there anything that you particularly want to do whilst here?
Well, at the end of our last session, go back to my own voice, don't need to jump into Raj just yet. While the woman, Slake's wife, I guess, went to cook, I snuck into the room that she had not cleaned up after from Zill. Right. And there was a blood stain under the carpet, and that's where we cut off last time.
All right. So you want to pursue that?
Yeah, I wanted to see. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any specific skills in that that would tell me much, but I guess the closest would be perception to see if I can notice anything about the blood.
Give me a medicine check.
It would be a medicine check.
Yeah, give me a medicine check.
All right. Let's see what happens anyway. Nope, I don't know anything about it because it's a 3 - 1.
You think it's... Actually, now that you look at it, it might just be gravy, but no. It's blood, definitely blood, but you can't tell what it's from or anything along those lines, apparently.
Okay. So that, and then the bone tag with the number 44 carved in it.
Yeah.
And that was all that was left in the room.
That's all that you could see on a cursory glance, yes.
Okay. So we've got to figure out. It looks like I just missed him again. Got to figure out who in town might have seen which direction they went. At any rate, about what time is it?
It's late afternoon now.
Okay. So, go downstairs. And without going too far, I don't want to upset the good woman who's cooking a meal for me.
Yeah.
Um, I'll just go to the stable for the moment and
right.
ask the stable boy some questions.
Oh, hi. I think we cleaned out enough for your horse. He seems happy. He has my blanket now.
Oh, very good, very good. Tell me, good lad. Yesterday there were some unusual creatures staying here. No?
Well, maybe unusual to you, but to us they were just foreign.
Hmm. I see. What did they look like?
No, they were them elves, but not the ones from like close by, but like the deep elves. You know, the ones they've got like the long ears and their armor is made out of like stripes and stuff rather than regular armor. Yeah, they had some really weird mounts. They were like these long, sinewy, like... They look like dragons, actually. I thought they were dragons, to be honest with you, but then they said they weren't dragons, and they didn't have wings, so I kind of guess they're not dragons then.
Interesting. And they left this morning, no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they left this morning, and, funniest thing is, so, yeah, it's, they left, they were very generous, they gave me some coin, but hey, you want to buy some foreign coin?
Buy some foreign coin.
He grubs around in his pocket and he pulls out 3 very dirty, they look like slightly silver coins, but they're not really silver. They almost seem pearlescent.
These are what they paid you with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see. So, they look like silver. I could tell you what. I'll give you a gold piece. So you have 3 of those silvery things there.
That's certainly a deal. I want some of that. Are you sure it's fair? I'll go get your horse another blanket.
All right, that would be wonderful. Okay, what can I tell about these coins?
Yeah, you can give me a culture check.
Okay. Is that history?
Yeah, history, sorry. Why am I thinking culture? I'm thinking history check.
16.
They are most definitely coins that originate from the Elvish Empire. I will show you now. They are most definitely from the Tatsu or Tadashi kingdoms, which are quite a distance from where you are. You're sort of here near the lower bit of Pythios. Tadashi and Tadesu are very, very standoffish places to go. They don't particularly welcome what they consider to be the slightly less civilized races, which is basically everybody who isn't one of their elven kind. They are definitely a subset of elves. Deeply honor-bound, very good warriors. They will practice using a sword for 100 years and still consider themselves to be completely useless at it. Highly focused, highly trained. Very seldom do they venture out, and as even as far down as Vashti, I don't think you've ever even seen one. The only reason why you know what those coins are was because your father once had to appraise them in the shop. A traveller came in asking if they had any value. Indeed, they actually do have value, mostly, unfortunately, within the Tadesu or Tadashi or Tadao kingdoms. Because everywhere else kind of looks at them going, these are very nice and shiny and all, but they're not gold or silver or copper, or I can't really use them. So you best keep them for trinkets.
Is there any writing on it that I would be able to read in an Elvish script that Raj is able to read?
What languages do you speak?
Common, Elvish, and Sylvan.
With the Elvish and Sylvan, you look at it, you kind of go, you think each disc is marked with a 5. Definitely a 5 on the one side, and on the other side, it looks like a very ornate drawing of a stylized tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. That must be where they've gone off to. All right. Excuse me, young lad.
Yeah?
One last question. Which direction did they leave when they left this morning? Did you see which gate did they leave your town from?
Oh, sure. They went out the west gate. I can show you if you like. I followed them for a little while. Their dragon snake horses are real pretty. I like them, so I followed them for a little bit down the ways. They didn't seem to mind, so I didn't think it was too bad.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? You know that there was what was his, I think his name was like, no, I forget his name. There was a human with them as well. He didn't fit in at all. He looked more like he was one of us, if you know what I mean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That is interesting. It's the first I've heard of. All right.
I think he owned them. They might be his slaves.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in a real hurry to get going. They didn't seem to be in such of a rush, but he was the one saying, "We must leave now because otherwise we're not going to," you know, something like that. Yeah.
I see. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I go over to Kinvar. Kinvar, my friend, how are you feeling? Are you ready to travel?
I thought we were spending the night here.
Well, that was my original plan, but the people we are following left this morning. And I would like to continue if you are up to it. I do not want to push you if the journey on the boat made you too uncomfortable.
I am a warhorse. You don't think that a small little trip down a river where there was certain death would put me off? If we are to ride, then we are to ride. We will not be stopped.
Wonderful. That is what I was hoping to hear. Do you mind if Alexei also rides with me on your back?
It's funny that you mention that. I remember remarking to myself, and several others, that it was confusing that perhaps we had left Alexei's horse with the lizard folk. It did seem to get lost in the mix somehow, but yes, he is welcome to journey with us, of course. The boy weighs nothing. And between the two of you, you're not even a standard rider.
All right. Very good, very good. Okay. I am going to just have a meal. I hope that you have done the same. If not, please do so, and we will make haste within the hour.
All good by me.
All right, very good. Okay, do I see where Alexei's gotten off to?
Yeah, you hear some scrubbing and splashing from behind the stable.
Okay, so he went and cleaned himself up there. Okay, Alexei.
Yeah.
All right.
Sir,
our plans have changed. We must make haste. Come into the inn. We will have a meal, and then we will be traveling. Zil has only left this morning. I would like to try to catch up with him if possible.
You hear some splashing. You want me to come in right now, sir?
Finish your bath and then come in. Yes, please be dressed.
There's some splashing and frantic, washing going on.
Okay, and then Raj goes back into the inn. Excuse me, my fair lady.
Just a moment, I will be with you shortly,
I am sorry. We do not have time for the wonderful meal that you are preparing, I'm sure.
What?
But we must have a quick meal and then be on our way. But please keep the money that I have given to you as payment for all of your trouble.
The doors spin open to the kitchen so fast that they almost catch fire as they friction through the air through speed, and the large rotund form of the woman is standing in front of you. She is a very large wall of person, but she draws herself up short and looks down at you, and a smile seems to be dragged across her face by teams of slaves desperately pulling against the strain of her face muscles. You are leaving us so soon?
Yes, I thought that I was ahead of the friend of mine that I was following, but your guests from yesterday are those exact people that I am trying to find, so I must make haste to try to catch up with them.
Oh, isn't that so nice for you, eh? Your friends, they leave this morning, and so you now leave now. You know the food is not yet ready, huh? It's still got at least 15 to 20 minutes, give or take, before it will be ready for you.
All right, that I can wait for that long.
Ah, great. So at least you'll be able to have my food as takeaway.
Yes. Actually, we will eat here. We are not in such a rush that I must eat and ride at the same time.
Now all is fine. Okay, you can relax, so can I. I go back to cooking. You will eat it here. Everything will be fine.
Wonderful, wonderful.
She turns and goes back into the kitchen, and you hear the sounds of several pots being banged together, and hopefully the sound of a mallet pounding something. But yes, there is much noise. A few moments later, Lexi comes in looking slightly cleaner than before, pulling down on his tunic and fastening his sandals. Ah, ready to go, sir.
All right. Our meal is almost ready. We will take this and then we will be off.
Right. Sir, I haven't asked you this before, owing to the fact that we didn't really have very much time. But since we are in a village or a city, I'm not sure. I've never been to something quite this big before. But since we are here, when you were being attacked by those that giant water serpent thing, I only had a stick to try and defend you, sir. Do you think perhaps we might possibly buy a very cheap sword for me, sir?
That is a wonderful idea. Yes. Tell you what, we still have time before this meal is ready. Here are 3 gold pieces. Go and find something suitable. Do you think that will be enough?
I will see what I can find, sir. I'm sure it'll be enough for a dagger at the very least.
Make it 5 gold pieces, just to be safe.
Right. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. I won't let you down. He turns and dashes out the door and comes scrying. How long should I take to find the swords, sir?
As quickly as possible. If you want to eat. You'll have
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. He disappears out the door.
Okay.
It's a few moments. Well, not a few moments. You still have a few moments before meal if you want to do anything else. Otherwise, meal will be served promptly.
No, there's no one else in this room.
No, there are a few irregulars that are shuffling in. It looks like they're here for their evening drink, but other than that, it's fairly quiet.
Okay.
Sorry?
I'll just sit down and observe a little bit and wait for the meal.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's just the regular bunch of folk that come in. There's not a huge amount of noise, but the food is served. It is excellent food. It really is good food. And the woman seems slightly unhappy that she had to make it so fast. But nonetheless, she serves it and the beer is cold. And so, yes, that is what you are given. A few moments later, young Alexei comes rushing back, looking quite pleased with himself. Not totally as armed as he had hoped to be, but he does have a rather impressive mace that he is sort of swinging around, testing. I got a mace, sir. I thought, well, considering that you don't seem to be particularly, you don't like killing things, I thought that, I thought that this would work, because then I can knock them out instead of killing them.
That would be very good. That would be very good, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad you liked it. Also, a sword costs 15 gold. So, yes, a mace is great. Thank you, sir. And then he sits down and starts eating. Nothing particularly exciting happens once your meal is concluded. The cook... were you happy with your food?
Yes, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Perhaps we will see you again on our return trip.
Hi, you are always welcome here. I have put a little something in a basket for you. If you are leaving now, it is a long way to the next village. You know this, yeah? You'll be traveling at night across the moors. It's going to get very cold.
Oh, really? Tell me. We must go through the south gate. How long is it?
There is only a west gate, but perhaps... And there's a north gate, but...
Okay. Yes, you are right, the west gate. I misunderstood what your stable boy told me. No worries. Yes, so we will be traveling through the west, where the man I'm following left this morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whichever direction you go, it's moors. If you're going through the tracts of Haidar, it can get pretty cold out there. Or so the men tell me. I don't know. I stay in the kitchen and cook food all day. Yeah, see, this is what I have been told. It is flat, it is very little trees, and it is just miserable, eh?
Are there any creatures to be aware of? Any stories that you have heard of crossing through these moors that I should be careful of?
Not that I'm aware of. Unless you're heading into the Talamos Mountains, I don't think you have anything to worry about. It's wolves mainly, but they don't attack people, and they certainly won't attack you with that horse of yours. He is huge. So, no, I don't think there's particularly anything to worry about. Yeah, just don't go into the Talamas Mountains during the night, because then you will be. They are. Have you heard of Kraglings?
No, I have not.
They're not particularly nice. They're not particularly dangerous on their own. They kind of like bats, but they're a little bit bigger. You know what a goblin is, eh?
Yes.
Slap some wings onto that, and then you have a Kragling.
Oh.
Yeah,
Very
and they're more of a nuisance than anything else. But they live in the Talamas Mountains, and they only come out at night.
Okay. All right, we shall be careful of that then. Thank you so much. All right, Alexi, let us be gone. Let us make haste.
Ready and waiting, sir, he says as he grabs the extra little pack of food that she's put together.
All right, so we go and...
Kinvar's ready and waiting.
And, all right, off we go through the west. Fairly brisk pace. Not breakneck speed, but we are in a hurry.
All right.
I don't know if we can catch up with these creatures, but...
give you a closer view of that territory. So as you travel out of the Nexi, it is maybe 20 or so minutes before you get to a very low bridge which crosses over that great river that you had to... The Haitos River, as a matter of fact, which is part of the original river that you had to cross. And then you get into the tracts of Haidar. It is now late evening, or early evening, I should say, dusk, and there is this amazingly orange glow of gold across everything, and knee-high grasses slowly bow and pray to the night sky and the wind that blows across it. And in the far distance to the north, you can see the Tolomos Mountains, fairly majestic peaks, isolated but not insignificant. Way off in the distance on the far, far, far horizons, for a moment you think you hear the sounds and laughter of some magnificent party happening at Pythios, but considering that that's over 100 miles away, it's unlikely. It's possibly just hopeful optimism and imagination at play. Other than that, you are alone with your thoughts. Alexi is behind you on Kinvar, who is making a fairly good speed. After an hour, Kinvar says, I'm fairly certain that there's something strange in the air. Can you not smell it? Give me a perception check.
Nine.
His great big velvet nostrils flare up. I'm not sure what creatures your friends are riding, but whatever they are, they have a strange aroma. I'm fairly certain I can...
From everything that I have heard, they are some sort of reptile creature. Look more almost like snakes, or somewhere between snakes and dragons, but not with the wings.
It is certainly not a dragon. It does not reek of sulphur or slime. It could be a serpent of size. I do not think we are that far behind them. Perhaps a few hours, no more.
All right, then let us push on.
I need you to make me a constitution check, please, as the night wears on, the constant rocking motion of Kinvar, who gets a 19 for his constitution. Oh, Alexi stays awake too.
23.
And so do you. 4 hours of every now and again galloping, cantering, slowing to a walk, galloping, cantering, slowing to a walk. And you estimate you've covered quite a lot of ground. You have no idea where you actually are in the greater scheme of things. You know that you're somewhere in the tracts of Haidar, but that's about it. When way off on a hill, more towards the Ptolemus Mountains than towards the road, you see a tower with light blaring out of... At first it looks like windows, and then you realise it's actually holes in the masonry. That's just off, like I said, closer to the mountains than to the road. I think the smell goes there.
All right. Let us carefully see if this is who I'm looking for. Alexei, let us get down, and I will walk just a little bit ahead of you. The two of you, please stay together. I will stay maybe about 20 feet ahead of you, as I can be slightly more stealthy than the two of you.
In truth, you only have 2 legs to worry about, but yes.
Yes. Okay. So I try and sneak up on what's the light situation for?
It's pitch dark. There are a few stars way off in the distance, but their light is mocking at best. You have dark vision?
I have dark vision, but they don't.
Yeah.
On second thoughts, as I can see in the dark, and Kinvar, I don't know if you can. I know Alexei cannot.
No.
All right. Stay by the road.
What if you run into trouble?
I will not get close to trouble. I will just scout ahead, see what is there, and then come back for you.
Okay, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe
All
we
right.
should set up like a call sign.
Yes. Do you know any bird sounds?
Chicken goes cluck?
I guess that would work. Yes. All right. If you hear me making clucking chicken sounds, then
Then I know it's you.
yes.
And then I won't hit you with my mace, he says, and you see him actually, but in your dark vision, you see him sort of swinging the mace around.
All right. Yes. Okay. I shall be back as quickly as possible.
Okay, you're trying to stealth forward. Give me a stealth check, if you please. You have advantages. You are a black cat and a black knight on a soft earth. There is very little chance of anyone hearing you.
17.
Oh, yeah. You slink forward. You realize that this tower, because it's on top of a hill, seemed a little bit closer to the road than it was. It's probably more than like a mile from the road. Are you going to leave your 2 companions at the road as you slink forward? They don't seem to be in any trouble, and as you've been moving slowly through the grasses, aside from slightly stodgy ground and crickets, there isn't much else out here.
Okay. If the road looks that I'm traveling along looks pretty flat, easy, nothing for them to stumble and trip on, then I can go back and have them follow along.
All right, it's easy enough. The moment you get close enough, is that you, sir?
Go, 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 go!
Oh, it is you, sir. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, right.
All right.
That was quick.
Let us take a bit of rope, and I will tie it around my waist and onto Kidbar's saddle. And Alexei, please hold on to this.
Yes.
and that way you can follow me in the dark. We will move slowly, so there's not to you will not trip up in the dark. But we will, as it is a little bit further than I expected, maybe about a mile to this tower.
And we should probably be quiet.
Yes, please be as quiet as you can. Yes.
So roped, you journey into the territory, getting closer and closer to this tower. Try to be as quiet as possible. Unfortunately, it seems that Kinvar, where your foot found an old log that it could sort of lightly step on over, Kinvar just steps through it. He's got a natural one, so he might step onto an old soggy branch, but somehow still manages to crack that sucker wide open. And his hooves, just now that you are trying to be quiet, you realize that his hooves are so big that just his footfalls sound like the beating of war drums from across a flat plain. I mean, he's just naturally a loud animal. And Lexi is, well, who knows what the hell he is, but he seems to have about 6 legs at the moment, because it's snapping branches, and it's kicking sods of earth, it's every now and again he almost starts to whistle in panic and nervousness. There's just, yeah.
Okay, we'll move together this way until we get about 200 feet away.
All right.
And then I'll have them wait for me again, so I can move forward more quietly.
Gotcha. You do indeed move forward quietly, and this is what you see. As you are making your way, they're not there, obviously, they're further away. You can see that the cliff was actually a false, or not a false cliff, but it juts up about 40 foot above the plain, and then there's this massive tower built on top of it. Well, not particularly massive, but it seems unusually large because the plain is so flat. But there is light coming out of it, and you think you hear on the wind, "I really don't understand why we have to delay," coming from inside this tower. But it does look like it's been abandoned for a long time and quite heavily damaged. There's holes in the walls all over the place. Like I said, there is some light coming out of it, but not a lot.
All right. Is there anywhere that I can sneak up and look inside?
You could either try and climb up the rock face, which is almost a sheer cliff at the moment, or you could skirt around the back of the tower. There must be a way to get up here. It would be impractical to build one without an entrance.
Okay. I do have a 20 feet climbing speed.
Yeah.
Being a taxi, so the climbing part is actually not that difficult for me with my claws.
Okay. So you start climbing up the side. Are you doing it quietly?
As quietly as possible, yes.
Okay. So give me a stealth check as you try and make your way up this rock face.
Obviously not very quiet. It's a 6.
There's 6. Yeah, you're scrabbling up, but again, this rock, it looks as if it's been attacked by, you have no idea what, but it's just shale and pieces just pour out and drop down around you, and no matter what you try, the stuff just breaks loose. You do, however, get to the top of it, and once you get to the top, you kind of peer in. I assume you peer in anyway.
Yes.
And this is what you see inside. I'm just busy drawing it for you. That is... Oh, hang on a moment. Let's just do that. That's what you see inside. A figure is sitting with his back to you. And then just a little bit of a room. Not a lot of detail. As you look around, you can see that there's another figure sitting opposite this one. A big central column on this tower with, it looks like, stairs going up. are there is present as well, but both of them seem to be in a debate, or not in a debate. They seem to be very, engrossed in just sitting and thinking more than anything else. They are definitely elvish by their long pointed ears. They're very, very black hair, and beautiful, almost pear-coloured skin. These are without doubt elves from either of those two kingdoms.
Okay. All right, so let's just watch them for a little bit, if I can stay in the spot.
The one closest to you leans forward and... don't know what I did there. He leans forward, looks at his companion, and says, and it's difficult for you to understand completely. Sorry, I'm just going to put him in the chair here. You think... Oh, no, he's gone. You think he says, hear the wind in the leaves or in the trees? It's difficult to interpret because although it's Elvish, it's a very different form of Elvish to the Elvish that you're used to.
Hmm. Okay.
Give me a perception check.
$15.
In the distance, and then suddenly it seems to be quite close by, you hear sort of a flapping of wings.
All right. I need to get back down and bring Kinbar and Alexi back to a defensible position by this tower.
Okay, so you rush back to them.
Yes.
They're standing, listening intently.
All right, and I'm gonna try and. So, is there a path or anything that goes to what would be an entrance to this?
Does look like there's a pathway at the base of the tower which runs around it, but you didn't get around to the other side.
Okay. Let me try and find a path that I can walk them up.
All right.
I'm not
So indeed you do go around, and you do find an old ruined stable yard, but in the remains of that stable yard are two... It's difficult to tell... Excuse me. It's difficult to tell exactly what they are. It looks like fresh carcasses of some very large animals. And fresh. There's flies buzzing all over them, but there's not a hell of a lot left. Some mangled bones and a few scraps of meat still hanging off of them.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll continue to walk them up to the door then. Try and keep the three of us together.
All right. You have to ascend a set of stairs, which eventually gets you to the top. The stairs are also rubble and covered in a black substance. You don't see colour in dark vision, so it's like a black, gooey substance.
Kinvar, can you smell what this is we are walking through?
He kind of looks at it. He's a large creature, but that's ridiculously large. He looks... He sniffs... I know not what creature it comes from, but it is most definitely blood.
I see. Something has recently been slaughtered here. All right. I am just going to go knock on the door.
You knock on the door. Everyone kind of goes quiet. Alexi lifts up his mace Sadly, in the faint light, he's kind of seeing where you are. He's sort of seeing where everything is. From the other side of the door, it's very, very quiet. And then you hear, "There's no one here."
I say in Elvish, Zil, it is I, Raj.
Before you can finish,
apologize.
the door is flung open, and Zil stands in front of you, a smile on his old weathered face, and he just wraps his arms around you. "Oh, it is you, Raj. Oh, thank the goodness. Well, this is Providence. Providence, I tell you. I knew you wouldn't stay away from the prophecy. Oh, no. Come in quickly, come in. There.
Yes. Can I bring my horse in?
Oh, yeah, not through the door, I'm afraid, but there's a hole in the wall he'll fit through. No doubt
All right.
about it.
Yes. I noticed there was quite a bit of blood outside.
I'll tell you all about it indoors. It's safer that way.
All right. Then yes, let me please bring my companions in where they will be safe as well.
He leads you and Alexei inside, and Kinvar is forced to go around and then through a very large gap in the structure. He can sort of climb through this bit of broken wall, and he pushes it aside. Inside are the two warriors that you saw before. They've now moved around to the front, and then one other warrior who was obviously arguing. They're all dressed in the elvish armor that the stable boy described. This banded-like armor, very stylized, kind of square shoulder pads. None of them are wearing helmets, and so they have black hair and they have very dark eyes. Very piercing amongst their pale skin. The three of them line up quite uniformly, and then all three of them nod their heads towards you and keep their heads bowed. These are my traveling companions. Tatsu and Tatsu and Shento. I hired them. You see, bit of a spur of the moment sort of thing, actually. I bet the abbot's quite furious. Oh, he didn't send you to find me, did he? Oh, I hope I haven't caused you any distress.
Well, I was concerned about your disappearance, so I wanted to understand more of your feelings about this prophecy.
Ah, yes. Well, I was worried about that, but at the same time, I knew you were in good hands. I knew the abbot would never sanction it. I need to get to Delphi. We have to understand where exactly you fit within this great prophecy. It is surely for the good of everyone if we understand it. I know the abbot didn't particularly believe in it, but, well, I needed to prove him wrong. Nonetheless, these three companions, once I explained the situation, well, they seemed to basically, they agreed to take me along. And it hasn't gone as well as we'd hoped. We'd made pretty good progress up until now.
Yes, I noticed that in Nexi there was some blood that you left behind.
Oh, yes. Silly me. We were doing a salute or a toast of some kind. The tavern owner was awfully generous. She gave us actual glasses, and I'm afraid I broke mine and cut my damn hand, he says, and he holds up his hand with this bandage wrapped around it. Yes. Anyway, it's a life experience, as they say, and so that's how we learn, isn't it? I guess.
Okay. And was there another person traveling with you when you left Nexia? Someone said that there was a human with you.
I'm human.
Oh, yes. Okay. My apologies.
It looks like you've been having a hard ride yourselves. You
Yes,
must have
we
moved damn
are-
quickly to find me. I thought I left a day ahead of you.
Well, yes, we did ride as hard as we could. Fortunately, I have made the acquaintance of this wonderful, wonderful warhorse, my friend Kinvar here. Um, but I think now we are in much of a need of a rest. But first, tell me, what is all the blood and the carnage just outside in the old stable?
The one known as Tatsu steps forward and looks you up and down. I am not familiar with your race, but I am aware that you must be very loyal to your friend to have tracked him down. We have been moving at considerable speed.
Yes, I am. I apologize. I have not had many dealings with your culture as well, although other elves I have dealt with quite often in my family business.
You are a merchant then?
Yes. I come from a merchant background, yes.
That is the lowest form. But it is not your fault. We all have our places in the great cycles. The blood you speak of is the blood of our enemies. There are creatures that hunt in the night. We were to rest here when we were attacked upon. That was just a few hours ago.
Are those the little flying creatures?
They do indeed fly. It makes them most interesting opponents. Yet they are of no particular importance when they are individual. They may be dispatched with a single blow. It is when they are in numbers that is when they are truly formidable. As I've been trying to explain to them, if we just leave and go back to the road, I'm fairly certain that we should be able to outrun them. I don't see a delay, really. It is unwise to run with an enemy at your back. It gives advantage to them.
Yes, I agree, Zil.
Thank you. Yeah, you see, Tatsu, we have to go.
I mean, I agree with that, Zil. I think that we should make camp here for the night, and it would be better to travel in the day. I heard some more flying wings just before I came in.
I am very much liking your particular race at the moment, merchant. You at least speak words of wisdom. Well, fine. If we have to stay here, then rather let's get some rest now, and then hopefully hopefully the morning will come sooner, and then we can be on our way.
Yes.
You have ridden hard to catch up with us. We will take the first watch. I am not sure where your beast will stay. Sadly, ours were dispatched by the creatures before we understood the true nature of their ferocity. It is a shame. They were honorable and dedicated steeds.
Yes, that is unfortunate to hear that you have lost your steeds. Okay. Kinvar should be all right to stay here inside. Would you, Kinvar?
Everybody looks at the horse. The horse looks at you. It's certainly better than those stables I was going to stay in. Although I notice there is no blanket here. But I will survive.
All right. Good. Okay, so let us prepare for rest. I shall take one of the last watches, if that is acceptable.
Just a quick question, Raj. I know you've got magical power. Were you talking to the halls?
Yes. We have a bit of a bond that I believe no one else would understand. But yes, he and I do communicate.
Just being sure. Just making sure you haven't sort of maybe over.
Nothing to be alarmed by.
Right. Good. All right. Well, I'll show you up to the next level. That's where we're all staying. It seems to be a bit safer and a little bit less drafty than down here. Tatsu, good luck for tonight. He takes you upstairs. Alexei looks at you. Do you want me to stay down here or go up there, sir?
Stay by me. I would prefer that you stay close to me.
I'll protect you, sir.
Yes, that would be good.
You head on upstairs, leaving the rest down below. Upstairs is a little bit warmer, a little bit nicer to a degree. You can see there's a little campfire that's been set up and all the rubble has been moved aside. There's some delicate tea things that have been set out, prepared and ready. Well, I suppose we better make the most of it. Just catch some sleep, I guess.
Yes, that would be very good.
You drift off to sleep. I need you to give me a perception check, please.
17.
Your dreams are clouded and murky. There's lots of water and ships and waves and yes, a rocking kind of motion. And eventually you realize that the rocking motion is actually Alexei who's shaking you. Sir, you need to wake up and be very quiet. Cluck, cluck, cluck.
Yes, Alexei. How long have I slept?
It's only been an hour, sir. I think we're under attack.
I see.
From down below, you definitely hear the sounds of struggle. There's snarling, and then this wet slapping sound, and swishing sound, and then more snarling. The tower itself actually seems to be swaying slightly, and through the little arrow slits that are in the walls, you can see these little hands are reaching through, trying to grab at whatever they can. But there must be dozens of these things on the outside of the tower, gently pushing it backwards and forwards, trying to get in. Zill is still snoring, asleep, having eaten his fill.
Alexei, will you stay here and look after my friend Zill? Yes. I will go downstairs and see and check on Kinvar and the Elven warriors.
All right, sir. He lifts up his mace. You dash down the stairs, and you arrive to see Tatsu and his companions. One is holding the door. Two of them are trying desperately to keep the rubble sealed off. But all around the tower, you can see flocking around are these horrific looking creatures, and I will show them to you now as they start to climb onto the side of the tower, snarling, yipping, flying in the air, great big mouths filled with teeth and just these red piercing little eyes. From all different directions they seem to be sort of flocking to the tower, intent on breaking through. Every now and again you can see Kinvar kicking wildly with his massive back hooves. Sometimes he hits one of these creatures, sometimes he just hits the stone wall and his hoof goes straight through it, such is the power of his kick. But that is what you are seeing.
All right. Kinvar, I know you are trying to defend yourself, but please be careful that we do not bring the wall down and let them come in. I think it's time to pull out my crossbow and see if I can shoot through any of the holes in the wall.
There are plenty of holes in the wall. Jujin is trying to run from this hole to that hole, back to this hole again, back to that hole again, back to this hole again, trying to keep up. Shento is doing the same thing, and Kinvar is doing it. You pull out your crossbow, you're ready to go, and we'll be back, not next week, but the week after next week, because we're up on time, I'm afraid. So there we go. Right. Brian, well, at least you found Zill.
Yes. Finally caught up with him. I was hoping that, well, not hoping, I was thinking maybe we might have just missed him again somewhere else.
Yeah, no, you moved it, which is great. So, yeah, you didn't give up on the pursuit. So I felt that it was only appropriate you caught up with them, without a doubt. Yeah, so no game next week. You get to sleep in. How nice.
Hopefully.
Anyway.
Go to bed early.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, thanks so much for playing. We'll catch up with you again in 2 weeks' time, basically.
All right, sounds good. Have fun with your puppets.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. For everybody else, I'm going to go and grab a cup of coffee and do the post-game review. Not a huge amount to talk about tonight, although there might be some insight into some really interesting things for you if you want. There are spoilers, however, so if you do not want to know what's coming up, do not continue watching. Like I said, I'm going to take... I think I can do it in 4 minutes. Let's take a 4-minute break, and when we return, I will unpack what I planned for this session and what happened in this session. So we'll be right back. Goodbye, everybody. Hello, okay, so I'm back. Let's get that out of the way. I have some good news. Maybe it's good news, maybe it's bad news. I don't know. Do you want to hear the music? Maybe, I mean, do you want to... do you want to hear the good news or the bad news, depending on what... I don't know, it could be either or. I'm worried. The music was written by Darren Curtis, who writes all of our music for our YouTube channel. We've unofficially made him our official musician composer. So yes, okay. I spoke to Brian during the break. And we've decided that we're not going to play for 1 hour anymore. We're going to play for 2 hours. So when we come back in July, we will be playing for 2 hours each session rather than just 1 hour. So there you go. Question laughs villainously. You know this one. Wait, what? Mwahahaha. So yes, we will be playing for 2 hours moving forward once we return, because the 1 hour is just not only... I mean, it's fun, don't get me wrong. I like playing for an hour. But, I don't know. I just want to play now. Kind of get going, get moving. It seems like we're really just doing a little thing every game session. So yeah, I want to get moving. I did ask him repeatedly, because it is a valid point, Luke Andrew. I did ask Brian repeatedly. There's no pressure on him. He doesn't have to do it at all. But I said if he wanted to go for 2 hours, I would be prepared to go for 2 hours. And he said, yep. So there we go. That's where we are at there. So tonight's session, I think, started off terribly because I had forgotten where we'd ended off. I'd forgotten about the blood on the floor. And I think the reason for it was because I was busy building that tower map for the hour before the game started. So I think my head just wasn't in the right space. Nonetheless, thankfully Brian brought me back to reality and we could continue with that bloodstain. So yeah, the bloodstain was a red herring. It wasn't meant to be anything particular. It was just meant to be a tense moment to show that he was close on the trail of Zill, because I really wanted him to catch up with Zill. So now that the combat will wrap up next week, they've got a few options. The way I built that tower is that there is a basement which has an escape route built into it, so they can climb down that if they want to, or they can stand and defend depending on how badly the battle goes. So yes, there's a giant monster that will come out of the forest and attack them as well. If they want to be a hero, they can be. If not, that's absolutely fine. Once they're done with that and they're ready to move on, then Zill will suggest that they go to Pythios first, where they can then take griffins from Pythios all the way to Delphi, because now it's time to get moving, I think. You know, there's one thing about making sure that the adventures are fun and that there's some side quests and that there's this extra stuff. But I kind of feel that we now need to start moving again once with the prophecy. We need to move back to that prophecy. So part of the plan is the next step of the prophecy is the death cult will reach out to Raj and ask for help. And I think that can only really be triggered at Delphi. We need to kind of get there, I think, and just make it work. Maybe I'll do it at Pythios, because Pythios is going to be a big city, a big moment for him, I think, for Raj. So there is that as well. Perhaps I'll trigger it, the death cult in Pythios. But we need to move on the prophecy. We really do need to do that. So there is that. So yes, if you do have any questions, please just remember to put the word question in front of your sentence that I can read it. We do need to move forward, says Captain Prices. Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the whole point. So we're on this journey. We're moving. We're definitely moving forward. A big city, lots of names, people with names, says Grizzles. Grizzles is getting excited. I haven't even finished working off of your last list, to be perfectly honest with you. But yes, it'll be there, and there's, well, we'll see what happens when we get there. I will probably be planning out that adventure next week when I have some time to think to myself. This week's been pretty chaotic, but a good productive week nonetheless. Okay, so the session started with Raj investigating that blood to show that he was hot on the trail, and I think it actually worked because I think he realized that they were actually quite close. So that prompted him to go down and chat to the stable lad. Obviously the stable lad had information on which they went, because when your players start floundering saying, well, did you see which way they went? If you say no, what's their next course of action? They don't really have one, so it leaves them hanging. So I always like to give them, sure, why would the stable hand have followed? So I gave a reason why the stable hand would then follow. And that, I think, was useful. He realized which way he needed to go. The dinner thing, it was just a bit of fun. It could have been a bit faster, I think. I didn't need to play it out so much. But I do like NPCs to kind of have their story finished, and her goal was to cook them dinner. And so they've now got dinner and a meal that they can share. And yes, we can then move on from there. So let's look at some of these questions. Luke Andrew says, can Brian see our comments during the stream? Now, I have asked him not to read your comments during the stream. This is his first major streamed game. It's his first time with all of that sort of thing, and it can be very off-putting to have the questions and the stream scrolling up. I have it open so I can see what's going on in case there's no audio, or there's no, I don't know, if there's a graphic issue or whatever the situation might be. So I keep it open and have a look. And sometimes there were comments that I remembered. It's like, oh yeah, that should need to happen, so I'm going to put that in. I also saw that Captain Prices was going to go and look at the cost of a sword, and it's so unusual that he gave him such a small amount of money. He's been throwing money around. He's like, well, here's 3 gold. I'm like, what? I'm fairly certain a longsword doesn't cost 3 gold. It's been a while, but I remember them being in the region of 10 plus. So I quickly brought up the shopping list, and a longsword is 15 gold pieces. I mean, it's a lot of work to make a longsword. So yes, hence him buying a mace. Which I thought was quite amusing. Stampster says, is the pace you have set fast or slow? Is it bad to slow things down with more RP? Well, at the moment the pace has been pretty straightforward. It's been social combat, social combat, social combat. And that's been more because of the hour thing than anything else, where effectively it takes about 35 minutes to get through some social, and then 25 minutes for combat, maybe a little bit more. So that is how I've been structuring it at the moment. It will change. Now on my channel I only talk about fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, combat, social, combat, social, combat, social. But there are times when you can double that up and you can go social, social, combat, or combat, combat, social, or variations thereof. I will do that once I am more familiar and comfortable with what Brian likes. At the moment, I am finding it somewhat of a challenge to see what he likes, because he seems to like everything. He likes combat. This is the first time he's pulled out his crossbow, by the way. That's particularly interesting. So yeah, I'm quite excited about that. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes. So there we go. Captain Pricer says, come on with the weekly question. If I do join you this evening, it will only be for a very brief time. I haven't had dinner yet, and in order to keep my figure, I need to eat lots of food. So I might join you whilst it's in the microwave doing its usual thing. Another question. Varin Azarik says, what does it tell you that he doesn't react at all to the remark that his sword was more expensive? It's an interesting one. I don't know. Either he's keeping his gold close to himself so that he doesn't run out, and that he thinks Alexei is expendable, or he is playing Raj as a true merchant, and Raj is not going to spend money on something that he doesn't see a huge value in. So there is that factor as well. It could also be, as someone pointed out, that he just didn't know what the cost of a sword was. I will be honest, I did not know off the top of my head what the cost of the sword was. I went and brought up a cost sheet whilst he was chatting. So it could just be that he didn't know, but he didn't want to reveal that he didn't know. It was as if it was his plan. So I don't know. I mean, there's many things that go through a player's mind, and this is why it's so critical when I say we have to learn to read our players. We need to spend time socializing with them, and that's something that Brian and I unfortunately just can't do because of our time zones. We really are in very, very, very bad time zones from that perspective. So, yeah, I am slowly getting to know him, and I think with the 2 hours, it'll be a lot better because I'll be able to have a little bit more of a socializing time. So I think that'll work. Yeah. Okay. I don't see any other questions. The journey along the road just needed to be some descriptive text. The tracts of Haidar. I know people were throwing out all sorts of theories about Haidar and Hydra and that sort of thing. I made this map last year, a long time ago, so if there were hidden plans, I have long since forgotten them. There weren't any pins dropped telling me what happens in the tracts of Haidar. It just is the great big tracts of open, flat land. The craglings I had planned, when I was building the tower, I was saying, okay, well, what space do I want him to find Zill in? And I wanted to be able to catch up with Zill. And originally I thought, well, maybe it should be a cave. And they find Zill and company in the cave, in the Ptolemos Mountains. And I was like, no, I want to get on with it. And being very much aware of a 1 hour session, to get him into the mountains, and then it was going to be difficult. So it was like, no, let's just put them on the side of the road and get them in there. And yeah, there we go. We're done. And so now he's got Zill, and he seems very happy about that. The elves that are with him will leave once they get to Pythios, because they're just there to protect Zill. Zill managed to bribe them to go with him. So yeah, that's the plan there. Captain Price says, Kinvar and Raj, does Kinvar make lip movements or is it telepathic? I think it's... I like the idea. I mean, I used to own horses, and I think horses are very graceful animals, and their lips are absolutely amazingly soft and so dexterous. But it was... I think it's telepathic, to be honest with you. If the horse's lips are moving, it would give away very quickly that he's a Bardesian, and Bardesians, in no matter which universe you're playing, are always exceptionally rare and usually very, very, very expensive. So they're worth a fortune if you can catch one. So I think it would be telepathic. Grizzle says, will the mention of the Craglings be able to be killed in one hit hold true? Yes, it will. So the idea that I had in my mind, once I was designing the tower, and I'm like, okay, cool, so we've got this tower, they're going to come under siege by these flying things because it's a tower, so they need to be able to get to the top, they need to get to the bottom, and I almost wanted it to feel like they're going to be overwhelmed by this writhing mass of these little craglings that are being pushed out of the mountains. Why are they being pushed out of the mountains? I don't know. It quite literally is an open thread. I very much doubt that Brian would ever return to the Pythios Mountains to investigate why they did get pushed out. I could mention it later on, but ultimately, yeah, it's all part of this idea that nature is being disturbed and things are unbalanced and unsettled. That was the main thinking behind that. But yes, one of the things that 4th edition, as much as I wished 4th edition had been different, I'm grateful that we had 4th edition D&D, because they tried to take it into a very different direction, and it proved that it didn't work. So then they gave us 5th edition, which was them returning to a place where I think it ended up being better, to be honest with you. But one of the things that they did was they had minions, 1 hit point monsters, which I think are absolutely brilliant. They really are dramatic. And if you watch most action movies, all of the bad guys are 1 hit point wonders. The heroes never, very, very seldom have to hit them twice, unless they're a featured bad guy, in which case they have to get hit like 10 times, but then they go down. As opposed to the master villain who has to get hit 150 times and buy a truck, etc., etc. So I really like that. It's very cinematic, thing that you can add to your games. Stamster says, if pace was slower, what encounter you would have thrown before they got to the tower? Well, if the pace was slower, then I could have looked at either they came across a burnt-out wagon, and there were some of these craggling remains, and there was a terrified woman who tells of these elves that arrived and saved her, but unfortunately her husband was dragged away by the craglings, so the elves have followed. So he would have had to investigate that scene. He would have realized that the elves were the ones that he was following, so then he would have journeyed with them. Then he would have gone into the actual mountains itself, where he could then have either gone through a series of challenges, survival, acrobatics, those kinds of things, as he maneuvered through the mountains to then eventually find the tower. So, as a matter of fact, Stamp said that really does kind of play into what this week's video is about, which is on how do you extend an adventure. So, in this case, if I had just planned that he leaves next scene and he gets to the tower, and I could see that Brian was really enjoying where it was going and we had lots of time, then I would quite happily have added in that additional encounter to hype up the danger of the craglings, but also to give him another hint that he's on the path of the elves and Zill. So it's an interesting one. Watch out for that video, I think. Definitely something to look at. Luke Andrew says, how does the horse escape the tower if they take the basement route? Difficult. Well, the horse is particularly large, as were the serpent creatures, but Kinvar is not an idiot, and he won't be tied up either. So I reckon that if they go through the basement, Kinvar will just launch himself out of one of the holes in the tower and just gun it and leg it as fast as he possibly can. Probably come out on the other side with a few bites and nicks, but I would imagine he'd come out on the other side eating one of these bat-like creatures. So, in a large sense, Kinvar has plot armor, because he's an imaginary creature that I've put into a position with other imaginary creatures. So I feel it's okay to have him get through. But it also, I think it sounds like Kinvar to sort of eat his way through the horde and come out on the other end. So there we are. Given that Roger's shown a slight interest in improving Alexei with letting him purchase a weapon, when will we see him level up? Or has he not yet shown enough yet for that to happen? Roger's going to level up when he gets to Pythios. That's pretty much a given. Although he hasn't done a tremendous amount of action. Level 2 is no man's land. It really is a dull time. Level 3 is where it starts to get interesting, although he multi-classed, so now he's stuck there for another 2 levels in that doldrum of level 2. But yeah, he'll get to Pythios. Maybe we'll do the Death Cult first. Nah, we'll just get him to level up. Leveling up is fun. So we'll get him to level up, and I think that's when Alexei will then start to decide. But at the same time, and this might be because we don't have enough time, so the 2-hour sessions with Brian are going to be a lot more interesting, I think, because there will be more downtime. There really will be more downtime. And maybe then there can be some buy-in with Alexei. Also, now he's found Zill, so his initial and immediate goal is now done. So what's next? Is he now going to go to Pythios, get the gem, and then sail south to Vashti? That would be amusing. I mean, we could have a 2-hour session, he sails south to Vashti, and that's it. Game over. Thanks for playing. Campaign's done. Because to be perfectly honest with you, I think that's what the outcome would have to be. If he said, all right, I buy the gem, I buy passage, I sail home. Well, there you go. That's it. We're done. It is what it is. So, yeah. The 2-hour session I think is going to be very interesting. I think you guys are going to see a different type of game, which I think is good. GM Brightside says, in an unrelated question, okay, I'm running a pre-made module and my players are not enjoying it. Should I try to change it or propose dropping it and starting over with another campaign? That's the wrong question. The right question to ask is, why are they not enjoying it? Why are they not enjoying it? Is it the setting? Is it the pacing? Is it the style? Is it the topic? Maybe they don't like the topic. Is it the system that you're playing? Answer that question first, because unless it's they don't like the style in which it's written, where there's lots of dead ends or there's too much investigation or there's too much politics. Unless it's that, it most likely will be unsalvageable. If they don't like it because of the system, or if they don't like it because of the characters they've made, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. He will sail. Well, we'll see. We'll see, Luke Andrew. We'll see. Who won the bet last time? I think it was me who won the last bet. I'm not sure. Anyway. Okay, folks, that's it. If I'm going to go and hang out on Discord, which I will do so just to make someone be quiet. No, I'll go and hang out on Discord now for a half hour or so. So come and join us there. If you're not part of my Discord, I say mine, but it's not mine. It's everybody's. Come and join us on discord.gg/greatgm, and we can hang out and chat for half an hour. So I'll be there. We just need to respect one another, of course, and only talk when there's a gap or something along those lines. It usually works out. Thank you all for watching tonight. Remember, next week there is nothing happening. I don't even have I have promo material. He sent it to me. I have just been a very bad person and gone, oh, it's next week. I don't have to worry about it. I really want to show you what if you haven't seen it, just bear with me for a second here. Bear with me for a second. If I open this up, yes. Okay, I'm going to open this up. Now, when they asked me to do this, I was like, okay. I couldn't say no. I mean, it's a very good friend of mine. Here, have a look at this. Oh, blast. Give me a second. Stop that. So it's Mairi, and I love playing with Mairi from Orkenspalte TV, as you know. So it's me and Mairi, and then your narrator, who I've watched some of his videos. It's a very specific style, and it has nothing to do with gaming, so he's stepping out of his space. And then it's Cucumber. I mean, Cucumber. I don't know what I'm going to do. Now, interestingly enough, the person behind Cucumber, he and I had a session 0 with Michael last week. I don't think I have ever laughed so much, because the character I'm playing in this one, I'll share it very quickly. I'm playing a 15-year-old naive boy, and Cucumber is this psychopathic puppet, but he's real because the apocalypse has happened and puppets are animated, and these two have the most remarkable relationship. We played for probably 40 minutes, but it feels as if these two have been adventuring together for years. It's absolutely amazing. I've never had an experience like that before, where we just clicked like that. So one way or another, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not sure what Mairi is going to do with this nonsense, because Mairi likes to stay on target, and why not? I mean, that's the point. So I'm hoping, because your narrator, I have no idea. I mean, his videos are very funny if you have ever played first-person shooters and know the kind of banter that goes on. If you're a fan of Red versus Blue, I think you're a big fan of your narrator. So anyway, it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun. All right, I'll catch you all on Discord. Again, thank you all for watching. And the next time I see you will be for Mercs of Mischief tomorrow morning. If you can catch that, that's on twitch.tv/Mercs of Mischief. Otherwise, it will be for live sessions with a great GM on Sunday at 7 PM GMT. Till then, goodbye.